The cartel thought they'd found an easy target when they set their sights on Jack Reynolds' remote ranch. What they didn't know was that Jack was a retired firefighter with a pack of combat-trained German shepherds. The moment they crossed his property line, they made the deadliest mistake of their criminal career. In seconds, their hunt would become a nightmare of tooth and fury. The first light of dawn painted the Texas-Mexico border in shades of amber and dust, revealing the Reynolds family ranch, a 500-acre testament to generations of resilience. Jack Reynolds stood on the porch, his weathered hands wrapped around a steaming coffee mug, three German shepherds positioned around him like living sentinels. Blaze, the eldest, sat closest to Jack's right side. His coat bore subtle scars that told stories of firefighting missions and combat deployments in some of the world's most dangerous regions. Storm, the female, maintained a vigilant watch toward the eastern fence line, her posture betraying years of specialized military and rescue training. Phoenix, the youngest, moved with a calculated precision that spoke of pure tactical awareness. These weren't just dogs, they were veterans, warriors who had seen more action than most soldiers. Jack's own history was etched into every line of his face. 25 years as a firefighter, multiple deployments with urban search and rescue teams, a career defined by saving lives in the most challenging environments imaginable. His final mission, a devastating wildfire in California that had nearly claimed his life, had ended with an early retirement and a collection of commendations that told only half the story. The ranch stretched across terrain that told its own story of survival. Generations of the Reynolds family had worked this land, understanding that the border was more than just a line on a map. It was a battlefield of its own kind. Maria, Jack's wife, moved quietly through the kitchen, preparing breakfast. The radio played softly, news reports discussing increased cartel activities in the border region. Another truck found abandoned near Laredo. The announcer's voice cut through the morning quiet. Suspected cartel trafficking operation. Jack's hand moved almost imperceptibly, a signal that Blaze immediately recognized. The dog's ears pricked forward, scanning the horizon with a focus that went beyond simple animal instinct. They'd been seeing more signs lately, subtle changes, vehicles moving along distant roads, unfamiliar tracks near the property line, the kind of small details that most would miss, but not Jack, not these dogs. The ranch was more than just land. It was a strategic point in a complex geographical chess game. Water resources, remote access routes, proximity to major highways. Jack understood why they would be interested. Storm's posture shifted, a communication more sophisticated than a simple movement. Something was different about this morning. Jake Martinez, the local ranch hand, pulled up in his truck. "Morning, Jack," he called out, his voice carrying a hint of concern. "Heard some chatter about increased cartel activity in the region." Jack's response was calm, measured. "They've been probing. Saw some unfamiliar vehicles near the south fence line last week. Tracks that don't match local ranchers?" The dogs adjusted their positions. Blaze moved closer to Jack. Storm maintained her external watch. Phoenix repositioned to provide additional tactical coverage. Maria entered the room, her own background in emergency medical services evident in her measured movements. "The county sheriff called earlier," she said, "warned about increased suspicious activity along the border." Jack nodded, his tactical assessment already in motion. The ranch was more than a home. It was a defensive position. Every feature of the landscape had been carefully considered. Hidden cameras, sophisticated sensor systems, communication protocols developed through years of emergency response training. Blaze's combat history was legendary. 3 deployments with urban search and rescue teams, specialized in finding survivors in the most challenging environments. Missions that had saved entire communities during wildfires, earthquakes, hurricane devastations. Storm brought a tracking capability that went beyond traditional understanding. Her ability to detect human presence, to read environmental changes, was unmatched. Trained in both military and rescue operations, she was more than just a dog. She was a living, breathing tactical system. Phoenix, the youngest, represented a new generation of working dogs, trained in advanced tactical response, with an adaptability that complemented the older dog's experience. The morning continued. Breakfast prepared, daily chores beginning, But underneath the calm surface, something was different. Jake's truck disappeared down the long drive, leaving behind a sense of growing tension. Jack's hand found Blaze's collar, a touch that carried more communication than most verbal commands. The dog wasn't just listening, he was analyzing, processing. The border region was changing. The cartels were getting bolder. And the Reynolds family, with their combat-trained dogs, represented something they hadn't encountered before. A silent challenge was being issued, and somewhere in the distant dust, someone was about to learn why you don't threaten a family of warriors. The morning sun continued to rise over the Reynolds ranch, a beacon of resilience in a landscape defined by constant tension. But today felt different. Today felt like the beginning of something. The first move was about to be made. The afternoon sun hung heavy over the border region, casting long shadows across the Reynolds ranch. Jack stood on the porch, Blaze, Storm, and Phoenix positioned around him with tactical precision that spoke of years of emergency response and military training. The landscape of the Texas-Mexico border stretched out before them, a harsh, unforgiving terrain that had seen countless conflicts long before the current cartel tensions. Every hill, every arroyo, every patch of scrub brush was a potential tactical position, a lesson Jack had learned through decades of firefighting and rescue operations. Generations of border survival had carved this landscape into a battlefield where survival meant constant vigilance. The Reynolds Ranch stood as a testament to resilience, a strategic point that bridged the complex ecosystem of border survival. Something had changed. The air carried a different weight. The dogs had been restless since midday, their movements betraying a tension that went beyond normal vigilance. Storm's lineage told a story of combat and rescue. Her mother had served in military operations in Afghanistan, her father a decorated search and rescue dog who had saved dozens of lives during natural disasters. Storm herself carried the legacy of generations of working dogs, not just an animal, but a living, breathing, tactical asset. Blaze bore scars from multiple emergency deployments. His coat told stories of wildfire rescues, urban search missions, and tactical operations that had saved entire communities. 3 commendations for exceptional service were matched by the subtle marks of a lifetime spent in humanity's most dangerous moments. Phoenix, the youngest, represented a new generation of working dogs. His training combined the most advanced tactical response techniques with an adaptability that spoke to the evolving nature of emergency and protective operations. Storm's ears pricked forward first, a subtle movement that most would miss. Phoenix shifted position, his body coiling with a predatory awareness that spoke of years of advanced tactical training. Blaze remained motionless beside Jack, but his eyes scanned the horizon with calculated precision. 2 black SUVs appeared on the distant road, their approach calculated and precise. Not random travelers, not local ranch traffic. These were professional operators moving with military-grade coordination. The vehicles moved with a tactical precision that betrayed professional training. Each movement calculated, each approach designed to test, to probe, to gather intelligence. Jake Martinez's truck pulled up, interrupting the growing tension. "Jack," he called out, his voice carrying a mix of concern and urgency. "Been hearing things about increased cartel activity. Some of the local ranchers are getting nervous." Jack's response was measured, calculated. They've been probing, testing responses, mapping terrain. The local ranching community had been seeing increased cartel activity, not just random incursions. Systematic intelligence gathering, strategic positioning. The SUVs slowed as they approached the ranch's outer perimeter. No attempt to breach, just observation, tactical reconnaissance. Maria emerged from the house, her emergency medical training evident in her careful observation. "They're not just driving," she noted. "They're mapping, calculating. These aren't random travelers." The first SUV's door opened. A man stepped out, tactical stance, military posture, former special forces, now working for the cartel. Not a street-level operator, a professional with years of tactical training. "Mr. Reynolds," the man's voice carried across the open ground, "we'd like to discuss your property." Jack's laugh was cold, a sound that carried the weight of countless emergency missions and hard-won survival. "Nothing to discuss." The dog's response was instantaneous. Not aggression, pure tactical positioning. Storm moved to cut potential approach routes. Phoenix prepared a containment strategy. Blaze remained close to Jack. Protection and potential intervention combined into a single, precise movement. The cartel team began to spread out. Professional movement, coordinated approach. They expected a standard response. They had no idea what was waiting for them. Electronic warfare began first. Hidden sensors activated. Signal detection, communication disruption. The cartel's tactical coordination suddenly found itself compromised. Jack's years of emergency response training had taught him that preparation was the ultimate weapon. Every inch of the ranch was a potential defensive position. Every technological system carefully designed to provide maximum protection. The first team member raised a weapon, professional movement, military training evident in every motion. Storm was faster, not an attack. A precise intervention that neutralized the threat without causing permanent damage. Blaze moved with Jack. A coordinated dance developed through years of emergency missions and tactical training. Every movement calculated, every position is strategic. Phoenix demonstrated why he was considered one of the most advanced tactical K9 units. Not just detection, not just intervention, active tactical communication, reading the terrain, predicting movement, providing real-time intelligence. Jake watched from his truck, mouth agape. The level of coordination was beyond anything he'd ever seen. As quickly as it began, the confrontation ended. The cartel team retreated, their tactical formation broken, defeated not by force, but by a level of preparation they couldn't comprehend. Jack's response was simple. They're not done. This was just a test. The border region held its breath, waiting for what would come next. The first move had been made. The response was complete, but the war was just beginning. The war room wasn't a military command center. It was the Reynolds ranch house basement, transformed into a sophisticated intelligence hub by Jack and his network of trusted allies. Maps covered one wall. Digital screens displayed encrypted communication feeds. Surveillance equipment blended seamlessly with ranch equipment, a testament to the complex life of a firefighter with decades of emergency response experience. Jack Reynolds spread out a series of photographs and documents on the large wooden table. The cartel isn't just moving drugs, he explained, his weathered fingers tracing a series of red marks across a detailed map of the border region. They're building something much larger. Blaze sat closest to the map, his military training evident in how he analyzed the intelligence. Storm maintained a perimeter watch, while Phoenix positioned himself to block the single entrance, a tactical placement that spoke volumes about their combat experience. Local Sheriff Tom Garcia arrived with additional intelligence. These land acquisitions, he continued, spreading additional photographs, they're not random. Look at how they connect. They're creating a logistical network that completely bypasses traditional law enforcement monitoring. The photographs revealed a sophisticated operation far beyond simple drug trafficking. Properties purchased strategically, businesses acquired with surgical precision, transportation routes carefully mapped out. This was a comprehensive infrastructure development project designed to create a shadow economy. Maria Reynolds, with her background in emergency management and intelligence analysis, began cross-referencing the photographs with a series of digital files on an encrypted tablet. See these property purchases, she pointed out. They're not just buying land. They're establishing a comprehensive infrastructure that could support multiple criminal operations. Jake Martinez, the local ranch hand, had become an unexpected intelligence asset. His position and connections provided unique insights. I've been tracking their movement, he explained, spreading out additional documents. They're not just moving through the region, they're setting up something much larger. The cartel's operation was a masterpiece of criminal sophistication. Multiple shell companies created a complex web of legitimate-looking businesses. Construction firms, transportation companies, real estate investment groups. Each purchase carefully calculated to create a shadow network of control that could operate with near-total impunity. Diego Ramirez, a local computer expert who had been helping the Reynolds analyze intelligence, pulled up satellite imagery and financial tracking. Look at these communication patterns, he reported. They're using encrypted channels, Military-grade communication protocols. These aren't standard criminal communication methods. The dogs weren't just passive participants. They were active intelligence gatherers. Blaze could identify specific electronic signatures, a skill developed through years of emergency response and tactical training. Storm could detect minute changes in environmental conditions that might indicate human movement. Phoenix showed an uncanny ability to predict potential approach vectors. Most people see dogs, Jack would explain. We see living, breathing, tactical assets. Local contacts began providing pieces of a larger puzzle. Local truckers shared information about unusual shipments. Ranchers reported strange vehicle movements. Each piece of intelligence carefully collected, verified, analyzed. The operation went far beyond typical criminal activity. This was a comprehensive attempt to establish a shadow economic infrastructure, not just moving illegal goods, creating entire systems of economic control that could operate beyond traditional law enforcement capabilities. They're not just moving drugs, Tom explained, spreading out additional surveillance photos. They're creating a comprehensive system of control, economic, technological, political. This is a sophisticated criminal enterprise that's been developing for years. Jack's background in emergency response and tactical operations allowed him to see the broader strategic implications. This wasn't just about territorial control. This was about creating a shadow economy that could operate with near total impunity, potentially reshaping entire regional economic landscapes. As the intelligence gathered, a clearer picture emerged. The cartel was more than a typical criminal organization. They were establishing a comprehensive infrastructure that threatened the entire border region. The dogs remained alert throughout the intelligence gathering. Blaze's ears would prick up at specific sounds. Storm would shift position subtly, indicating potential surveillance. Phoenix maintained a constant state of tactical awareness. Maria's computer analysis revealed even more disturbing details. Look at these financial trails, she pointed out, her fingers moving across multiple screens. They're using cryptocurrency, offshore accounts, and shell companies to move resources. It's like they're creating an entire parallel economic system. Local law enforcement was overwhelmed. Tom confirmed what they already suspected. We're seeing similar patterns across multiple counties, he reported during a secure briefing, but we can't get enough evidence to take significant action. They're too careful, too sophisticated. The cartel's strategy was multi-layered: physical intimidation, economic pressure, technological infiltration, each approach designed to create maximum uncertainty and minimum resistance. They're not just moving drugs, Jack explained to his team. They're creating a comprehensive system of control: economic, political, technological. As night fell, the intelligence gathering continued. Each piece of information carefully documented, each connection mapped, each potential threat analyzed. The dogs remained vigilant. Blaze, Storm, and Phoenix weren't just animals. They were living intelligence gathering systems with capabilities that went far beyond traditional understanding. They're building something, Jack summarized, studying the collected intelligence. A comprehensive network that goes far beyond a simple criminal operation. The intelligence gathering was complete. The real investigation was about to begin. The Reynolds Ranch transformed over the next week. What had once been a simple border property became a fortress of tactical preparation. Jack Reynolds moved with a purpose that spoke of years of emergency response planning, each modification carefully calculated to create multiple layers of defense. The landscape of the Texas-Mexico border stretched out around them, a harsh, unforgiving terrain that had seen countless conflicts long before the current cartel tensions. Every hill, every arroyo, every patch of scrub brush was a potential tactical position, a lesson Jack had learned through decades of firefighting and rescue operations. Diego Ramirez's technological expertise came into full play. He began installing advanced sensor systems that turned the ranch grounds into a sophisticated early warning network. Ground-penetrating radar disguised as fence posts, acoustic sensors buried beneath seemingly innocent landscaping, thermal imaging cameras hidden in strategic locations that blended perfectly with the natural terrain. These aren't just security systems, Diego explained to Jack, showing him the detailed schematics. They're an intelligent network that can predict and analyze potential threats. Blaze, the Storm, and Phoenix moved through the property with a sense of purpose that went beyond simple animal behavior. Their training went beyond traditional working dog protocols. They weren't just detecting threats. They were actively participating in the ranch's defensive strategy. Each dog had been cross-trained in multiple specialized areas: explosive detection, tactical communication, advanced reconnaissance. Local community members began to contribute. Jake Martinez modified security vehicles. Local ranchers shared intelligence about suspicious activities. Each person brought skills honed through years of hard work and borderland survival. Jack's emergency response contacts began arriving discreetly: retired firefighters, former Border Patrol agents, emergency management experts, a network built over decades of service. They brought more than just advice. They brought specialized equipment, tactical knowledge, and a deep understanding of the growing threat. This isn't just about protecting the ranch, Tom Garcia explained during a strategy session. We're looking at a comprehensive defensive strategy that could serve as a model for other border communities. The ranch's main house was transformed into a command center that would rival most emergency response facilities. Maria's extensive emergency management background came into full play as she began mapping the cartel's known operations, identifying patterns, creating predictive models of their potential movements. Look at their land acquisitions, she pointed out, spreading satellite images across the table. They're not just buying property, they're creating a logistical network that bypasses traditional law enforcement monitoring. Communication systems became a critical focus. Diego developed encrypted networks that could provide rapid response capabilities. Military-grade communication equipment was modified, tested, repurposed. Each system designed to be secure, adaptable, virtually unbreakable. The dogs weren't just passive participants. Blaze demonstrated an ability to identify specific electronic signatures, a skill developed through years of emergency response work. Storm could detect minute changes in environmental conditions that might indicate human presence. Phoenix showed an uncanny ability to predict potential approach vectors. Most people see a dog, Jack would explain to the team. We see a living, breathing, tactical asset. Defensive preparations went beyond technology. The team began intensive training scenarios, mock attacks, communication protocols, coordinated response strategies. Every team member understood their role, their position, their potential contribution to the ranch's defense. Specialized barriers were installed, not just physical fences, but sophisticated systems that could create multiple layers of defense. Electronic jamming capabilities, smoke deployment systems, acoustic deterrent technologies. Each layer designed to provide maximum protection with minimal visibility. They'll expect a traditional defense, Jack explained during one of their strategy sessions. We're going to give them something they've never seen before. The dogs underwent intensive retraining. Not that they needed much. Their combat experience was already legendary, but Jack wanted to ensure they were prepared for every possible scenario. Urban warfare techniques, terrain navigation, close quarters response protocols. Local community connections proved unexpectedly valuable. Computer science students helped develop AI-driven threat assessment algorithms. The ranch's defensive systems would be able to learn, adapt, predict. This is about more than just stopping an attack, Jack explained to his team. This is about sending a message. We're not just defending our ranch. We're showing that there are still places that can't be intimidated. Maria's emergency management expertise came into play in developing comprehensive response protocols, communication trees, evacuation plans, coordinated response strategies that could be implemented at a moment's notice. As the week progressed, the ranch became something entirely new. Part emergency response center, part high-tech research facility, part defensive stronghold. But underneath it all was a simple truth. This was a community preparing to fight for its survival. The cartels thought they were choosing the battlefield. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The strategic preparation was complete. The response was about to begin. The first light of dawn broke across the border region with an ominous stillness. Jack Reynolds stood on the ranch steps, Blaze, Storm, and Phoenix positioned around him with tactical precision that spoke of years of emergency response and military training. The Texas-Mexico border landscape stretched out before them, a harsh, unforgiving terrain that had seen countless conflicts long before the current cartel tensions. Every hill, every arroyo, every patch of scrub brush was a potential tactical position, a lesson Jack had learned through decades of firefighting and rescue operations. Something had changed. The air carried a different weight. The dogs had been restless since midnight, their movements betraying a tension that went beyond normal vigilance. Storm's ears pricked forward first, a subtle movement that most would miss. Phoenix shifted position, his body coiling with a predatory awareness that spoke of years of advanced tactical training. Blaze remained motionless beside Jack, but his eyes scanned the horizon with calculated precision. The dog's history was etched into every movement. Storm's lineage traced back to multiple military and rescue operations. Her mother, a decorated search and rescue dog who had saved entire communities during natural disasters. Blaze bore scars from wildfire rescues and emergency deployments, each mark a testament to missions that had saved countless lives. Phoenix, the youngest, represented a new generation of working dogs, adaptive, intelligent, trained in the most advanced tactical response techniques. Jake Martinez's truck pulled up, interrupting the growing tension. "Jack," he called out, his voice carrying a mix of concern and urgency. "Local ranchers are reporting increased cartel activity. Something big is coming." Jack's response was measured, calculated. The ranch had been prepared for weeks. Every sensor, every communication system, every defensive position carefully planned. Two black SUVs appeared on the distant road, their approach calculated and precise. Not random travelers, not local ranch traffic. These were professional operators moving with military-grade coordination. The vehicles moved with a tactical precision that betrayed professional training. Each movement calculated, each approach designed to test, to probe, to gather intelligence. Maria emerged from the house, her emergency management training evident in her careful observation. "They're not just driving," she noted. "They're mapping, calculating. These aren't random travelers." The SUVs slowed as they approached the ranch's outer perimeter. No attempt to breach, just observation, tactical reconnaissance. Storm's low growl was more a communication than a threat, a sound that carried volumes of information about potential danger. Blaze's body remained coiled, ready for any signal from Jack. The first SUV's door opened. A man stepped out, tactical stance, military posture, former special forces, now working for the cartel. Not a street-level operator, a professional with years of tactical training. "Mr. Reynolds," the man's voice carried across the open ground, "we'd like to discuss your property." Jack's laugh was cold, a sound that carried the weight of countless emergency missions and hard-won survival. "Nothing to discuss." The dog's response was instantaneous. Not aggression, pure tactical positioning. Storm moved to cut potential approach routes. Phoenix prepared a containment strategy. Blaze remained close to Jack. Protection and potential intervention combined into a single, precise movement. The cartel team began to spread out. Professional movement, coordinated approach. They expected a standard response. They had no idea what was waiting for them. Electronic warfare began first. Hidden sensors activated, signal detection, communication disruption. The cartel's tactical coordination suddenly found itself compromised. Diego's voice came through the encrypted communication system. "Electromagnetic pulse deployed. Their communication systems are going dark." The first team member raised a weapon. Professional movement, military training evident in every motion. Storm was faster, not an attack. A precise intervention that neutralized the threat without causing permanent damage. Blaze moved with Jack, a coordinated dance developed through years of emergency missions and tactical training. Every movement calculated, every position strategic. "They're trying to isolate our communication," Maria analyzed, monitoring the electronic battlefield. Classic tactical approach: divide, compromise, control. Phoenix demonstrated why he was considered one of the most advanced tactical K9 units. Not just detection, not just intervention, active tactical communication, reading the terrain, predicting movement, providing real-time intelligence. The assault wasn't just physical, it was a comprehensive attack designed to break the ranch's resistance through multiple vectors: technological, psychological, physical. Acoustic sensors detected approach vectors. Thermal imaging tracked multiple targets. Communication systems worked to maintain encrypted networks. Jack's voice remained calm. "This is our land, our home." The dogs were more than just defenders. They were an integrated tactical unit that moved with a precision that blurred the line between animal and military asset. As quickly as it began, the confrontation ended. The cartel team retreated, their tactical formation broken, defeated not by force, but by a level of preparation they couldn't comprehend. Jake watched from his truck, mouth agape. "I've never seen anything like that." Jack's response was simple. "They're not done. This was just a test." Storm's ears twitched. Blaze remained alert. Phoenix maintained tactical positioning. The first move had been made. The response was complete. But the war was just beginning. The border region held its breath, waiting for what would come next. The aftermath of the first confrontation hung in the air like a gathering storm. Jack Reynolds knew the cartel's response would be calculated, brutal, and immediate. The ranch transformed into a fortress of tactical preparation, every member of the team moving with a precision that spoke of years of emergency response training. The Texas borderland stretched out around them, a harsh, unforgiving landscape that had seen countless conflicts long before the current cartel tensions. Every hill, every arroyo, every patch of scrub brush was a potential tactical position, a lesson Jack had learned through decades of firefighting and rescue operations. Intelligence began flowing in from multiple sources. Tom Garcia arrived with a stack of classified reports, his face etched with growing concern. "They're not backing down," he explained, spreading photographs across the kitchen table. "These aren't just local operators. We're looking at a coordinated regional expansion that goes far beyond typical criminal activity." The photographs told a complex story of systematic infiltration. Land purchases mapped out with military precision. Strategic property acquisitions created a network of potential operational bases that stretched across multiple counties. Blaze, Storm, and Phoenix moved through the room with a calculated awareness that defied traditional understanding of animal behavior. Each dog positioned to provide maximum observation, their movements synchronized like a well-trained special operations unit. Blaze bore scars from multiple emergency deployments. His coat told stories of wildfire rescues, urban search missions, and tactical operations that had saved entire communities. Storm's tracking capabilities were legendary, her ability to detect human presence across impossible terrain unmatched by any technological system. Phoenix, the youngest, brought a raw energy and adaptability that complemented the older dog's experience. "Look at these land acquisitions," Maria analyzed, her fingers tracing a complex network of property purchases that seemed to form a strategic grid. "It's not random. They're creating a logistical infrastructure that completely bypasses traditional law enforcement monitoring." The cartel's strategy was sophisticated beyond anything local authorities had encountered. Multiple shell companies created a labyrinth of legitimate-looking businesses: construction firms, agricultural supply companies, real estate investment groups. Each purchase carefully calculated to create a shadow network of control that could operate with near total impunity. Diego worked the digital intelligence, pulling up satellite imagery, communication intercepts, financial tracking that revealed the true depth of the operation. "They've got shell companies spanning 3 states," he reported, his fingers moving across multiple screens. "The financial trails are incredibly complex: multiple banks, offshore accounts, cryptocurrency transactions. They're moving resources faster than we can track them." The response was a multi-layered assault designed to create maximum pressure. Not a direct confrontation, but a comprehensive campaign of intimidation and economic warfare. Local businesses began experiencing subtle but persistent threats. Supply chains mysteriously disrupted. Communication networks probed. "They want to isolate us," Jack explained to the team, his voice carrying the weight of years of emergency response experience. "Create an environment of fear. make us look vulnerable, cut off our resources and support network. Local ranchers reported strange encounters, unmarked vehicles, professional-looking individuals asking pointed questions, gathering intelligence, testing responses, probing for any sign of weakness. The dogs became more than defenders. Blaze could identify specific electronic signatures that might indicate surveillance equipment. Storm could track minute changes in environmental conditions that suggested human movement. Phoenix could predict potential approach vectors with an uncanny precision that blurred the line between animal instinct and tactical intelligence. Tom's radio crackled with reports of coordinated incidents across multiple counties. Supply line disruptions, communication network probes, a systematic campaign of pressure designed to break down local resistance. Maria's emergency management background came into full play. She began mapping the cartel's movements, identifying patterns, creating predictive models of their potential strategies. Each piece of intelligence carefully cross-referenced, analyzed, interpreted with the precision of a tactical operation. They're not just trying to intimidate, Maria explained. They're systematically testing our responses, identifying vulnerabilities, creating a comprehensive intelligence profile. Local community connections provided additional pieces of the puzzle. Truckers reported unusual shipments. Business owners shared stories of subtle intimidation. Each piece of information carefully collected, cross-referenced, analyzed. The cartel's operation was comprehensive, not just moving illegal goods, creating entire systems of economic control that could operate beyond traditional law enforcement capabilities. They're building something, Jack summarized, studying the collected intelligence, a comprehensive network that goes far beyond a simple criminal operation. Jake Martinez arrived with additional information. Heard from a contact, he explained, they're moving more than just drugs. They're establishing a complete infrastructure. The dogs remained alert throughout the intelligence gathering. Blaze's ears would prick up at specific sounds. Storm would shift position subtly, indicating potential surveillance. Phoenix maintained a constant state of tactical awareness. They're playing a long game, Tom observed. Pressure, intelligence gathering, systematic breakdown of resistance. Jack knew the larger implications. This wasn't just about territorial control. This was about creating a shadow economy that could operate with near-total impunity, potentially reshaping entire regional economic landscapes. The escalation was complete. The real war was about to begin. The night erupted in chaos long before the first shot was fired. Jack Reynolds stood on the ranch porch, his body a coiled spring of emergency response precision. Blaze pressed against his leg like a living tactical extension of his own being. Storm and Phoenix were already in motion, their positions carefully selected to provide maximum tactical coverage of the ranch's perimeter. The Texas-Mexico border stretched out like a vast battlefield, a landscape etched with generations of conflict. Every hill, every arroyo, every patch of scrub brush was a potential tactical position. A lesson Jack had learned through decades of emergency response and survival. The history of the Reynolds dogs was written in their very being. Blaze's lineage traced back to multiple emergency and military deployments. His mother had been a legendary search and rescue dog who had saved entire communities during natural disasters. His father had served with distinction in multiple conflict zones, detecting explosives and saving countless lives. Storm carried a legacy of tracking and rescue that went beyond typical working dog capabilities. Her genetic line included some of the most decorated search and rescue dogs in history. 3 generations of her family had served in various emergency response capacities, from wilderness rescue to urban disaster response. Phoenix represented the newest generation of tactical response dogs. Trained in the most advanced techniques, he brought a raw energy and adaptability that complemented the older dog's experience. His training incorporated the latest in K9 tactical communication and response protocols. 3 modified SUVs approached from different directions, a coordinated assault that spoke of professional military planning rather than typical cartel tactics. Each vehicle moved with a precision that betrayed extensive tactical training. These weren't street-level criminals. These were professional operators with a comprehensive mission. "Incoming," Jack whispered, a command that instantly activated the ranch's multi-layered defensive systems. Maria's voice came through the encrypted communication system, her emergency management background evident in every syllable. 8 confirmed targets, military-grade communication equipment, tactical approach formation suggests special operations training. Diego's fingers flew across multiple screens, monitoring every possible electronic channel. They're using advanced frequency hopping communication protocols, not standard cartel equipment. This is military-level technology. The landscape of the border region told a story of survival. Strategic vantage points created a natural defensive network. Years of emergency response training had taught Jack to read the terrain like a living, breathing intelligence report. Blaze's entire body transformed from a passive observer to an active tactical asset. Scars from multiple emergency deployments told stories of missions that had saved entire communities. Each mark was a testament to survival, to quick thinking, to the unbreakable bond between handler and dog. The first wave of the assault wasn't a direct attack. It was a sophisticated electronic probe designed to compromise the ranch's defensive systems. Signal jammers, communication interceptors, advanced electronic warfare equipment that most law enforcement agencies would struggle to counter. They're trying to blind us, Maria analyzed, her fingers moving across encrypted communication channels. Create a communication blackout before the physical assault. But the Reynolds family had prepared for exactly this scenario. Each system had multiple redundancies, encrypted backup channels, tactical communication protocols developed through years of emergency response experience. The SUVs split into tactical teams, professional movement, coordinated approach, each team moving with the precision of a military special operations unit. Phoenix demonstrated why he was considered one of the most advanced tactical K9 units. Not just detection, not just intervention, active tactical communication, reading the terrain, predicting movement, providing real-time intelligence that went beyond traditional understanding of animal capabilities. Storm moved to a strategic position that provided maximum tactical coverage. Her movement was calculated, each step precisely placed to create the most effective observation point. Blaze remained close to Jack. Protection and potential intervention combined into a single, precise movement. The first shots came not as a direct assault, but as a sophisticated probing attack, designed to test defensive capabilities, to identify potential weaknesses. They're using standard military breach and clear tactics, Jack observed, his voice calm despite the approaching threat. Years of emergency response had taught him that panic was the most dangerous weapon an enemy could deploy. Acoustic sensors detected multiple approach vectors. Thermal imaging tracked the cartel team's movement across the landscape. Communication systems maintained encrypted networks that would challenge most military communication platforms. Jake Martinez's voice crackled through the radio. They've got multiple approach vectors, professional movement. These aren't standard cartel operators. The assault wasn't just physical. It was a comprehensive attack designed to break the ranch's resistance through multiple vectors: technological, psychological, physical. Tom Garcia's voice came through the encrypted channel. State tactical response is 20 minutes out. Can you hold? Jack's response was calm. We'll do more than hold. The first cartel team breached the outer perimeter, a coordinated attack designed to overwhelm, to create chaos, to break resistance. They had no idea what they were truly facing. The first wave crashed against the ranch's defenses. The real battle was about to begin. Storm's ears pricked up. Another approach vector detected. Phoenix moved to intercept. Blaze remained close to Jack. The night was far from over. The border region held its breath, waiting. The dawn broke over the Reynolds ranch like a hard-won victory, painting the landscape in hues of amber and dust. Smoke still lingered from the night's confrontation, a testament to the fierce battle that had transformed the borderland into a battlefield of unprecedented complexity. The Texas-Mexico border stretched out beyond the ranch, a landscape that had seen countless conflicts long before the current cartel tensions. Every hill, every arroyo told stories of survival, of territorial disputes that ran deeper than simple land ownership. Tom Garcia's patrol car rolled up the long drive, its approach careful and measured. The ranch looked both damaged and defiant, a landscape that had absorbed the violence of the night and emerged stronger. Bullet-riddled fence posts, scorched ground, disabled cartel vehicles scattered like broken toys across the terrain. Jack Reynolds stood on the porch, Blaze at his side. Storm and Phoenix moved through the property with a calculated awareness that spoke of their extensive combat experience. Their history was etched into every movement: years of emergency response, rescue missions, and tactical operations that had saved countless lives. Blaze's scars told stories of wildfire rescues and emergency deployments. Storm's tracking capabilities were legendary, her ability to detect human presence across impossible terrain unmatched by any technological system. Phoenix, the youngest, brought a raw energy and adaptability that complemented the older dog's experience. "I've never seen anything like this," Tom said, surveying the scene. Multiple cartel vehicles lay disabled, their tactical teams either detained or scattered. They came with everything they had: professional operators, military-grade equipment, and they still couldn't break through. The confrontation had been more than a simple land dispute. It was a comprehensive takedown of a sophisticated cartel infrastructure that had been building for years. Diego's digital forensics team was already processing the seized equipment with meticulous precision. "These aren't just local operators," he reported, examining encrypted communication devices. "We're looking at a coordinated regional network with connections that span multiple states and potentially international borders." Maria emerged from the ranch's command center, her emergency management background evident in every calculated movement. Classified documents and digital evidence spread across makeshift tables told a story far more complex than a simple confrontation. "Look at this," she explained, pointing to a series of interconnected maps and financial records. "They weren't just targeting our ranch. This was part of a comprehensive regional takeover strategy. Land acquisitions, communication infrastructure, water rights. They were building a shadow economic system designed to control entire regions." The depth of the cartel's operation became increasingly clear. It wasn't just about drug trafficking. They were creating a comprehensive infrastructure that could operate beyond traditional law enforcement capabilities. Local community members began arriving, a testament to the solidarity that had been forged through the night's confrontation. Jake Martinez brought additional equipment for processing evidence. Local ranchers shared stories of how the confrontation had changed everything. "This goes deeper than anyone imagined," Tom explained, reviewing the seized intelligence. "Multiple shell companies, coordinated infrastructure development that spans multiple counties. We're looking at a systematic attempt to create a parallel economic system." Federal investigators began processing the scene with methodical precision. Each disabled vehicle, each piece of electronic equipment, each document became a piece of evidence in what promised to be a massive legal operation. "We're looking at multiple federal charges," one investigator explained. "Conspiracy, attempted invasion of private property, interstate criminal enterprise, money laundering. This is going to unravel entire criminal networks." Jack had done more than defend the ranch. They had exposed a sophisticated criminal infrastructure that had been operating with near total impunity. Tom summarized the situation during a brief press conference. "What happened here wasn't just a local incident," he explained to gathered media. "This was a comprehensive takedown of a criminal operation that threatened entire communities." Maria's intelligence analysis revealed the true depth of their victory. "They thought they could create a shadow economy," she explained to federal investigators, "build an infrastructure that could operate beyond traditional law enforcement capabilities. We just showed them that's not possible." The ranch had become more than a piece of land. It was a symbol of resistance, a demonstration that determined individuals could stand against sophisticated criminal enterprises. Elena, who had played a crucial role in developing the ranch's defensive technologies, understood the broader implications. "This isn't just about us," she explained to the team. "This is about showing that there are still places that can't be bought, communities that won't break." As the day progressed, the full extent of their victory became clear. Multiple arrests, comprehensive intelligence gathered, a criminal network exposed and dismantled. The dogs remained alert, their tactical awareness never diminishing. Blaze, Storm, and Phoenix weren't just celebrating. They were maintaining their defensive posture, a testament to their training and commitment. Jack looked out over the ranch grounds, damaged but unbroken. They had defended more than just land. They had defended a principle. Local ranchers shared stories of similar encounters. Information began to flow. Communities that had been isolated by fear now found their voice. "We've been watching these operations for years," one rancher explained, "but no one ever stood up to them before." The cartel had made a critical mistake. They thought they were attacking a simple ranch family. They had no idea what they were really facing. The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. The community of the border region had found its strength, and they would not be broken.